All right, everybody, welcome. We're Grand Forks' best source. Some catchy new music for you. Time now for our weekly Berkshire Hathaway podcast. Here on a Wednesday morning, something we do every Wednesday with somebody from Berkshire Hathaway. And today, welcome back to the show. Been a while since he's been here. John Brodeen. How are you, John?
Thanks for having me, John. I'm good.
Okay, how about if I turn the right mic on? How are you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me, John.
It's always better when I turn the right mic on. Been a while. How you been?
Good.
Things going good?
Things are good. Yeah.
Did I hear you say earlier, are you getting married?
Yes, in October.
In October?
Yep.
You sure you're ready for this?
I'm ready. We got engaged not this past February, but the February before then. So
Okay.
We gave it plenty of time.
Yeah, local girl or?
Yes.
Okay, all right. You were talking about maybe going down to the cities for your bachelor party?
Yeah, it looks like now we're going to do a little lake vacation.
There you go.
A little lake getaway with the guys.
Yep, maybe do a little golfing, do a little skiing, do a little fishing, some of that fun guy stuff.
Yep. We're going out to Brainerd, get the pontoon going, get the golf going.
You know, that seems to be the new thing now for bachelor parties. I know my son has been to about 10 of them in the last 2 summers, and it's always somewhere down by Brainerd. It's always a bunch of rounds of golf and a good time.
Yep. Hard to go wrong with that. Let's
talk a little bit about what you're here for. First off, how is the market right now?
Yeah, so the market's doing really good. So last time we talked was in June. So at the end of June, when I ran the numbers for how that month went, it turned out that June was like the busiest. It was the strongest sellers market since like April of 2018.
Wow.
So some contributing factors to that are that the inventory was low. 253 listings were on the market.
Okay.
At this point last year, there were 318 listings on the market. We had 83 pendings go through. So last June, we had 65 pendings go through. So it was a busy month even for June. So this was our busiest month of the year so far, and it was our first month of the year where we beat last year's activity. And then keep in mind when we're seeing whether it's a buyer's or seller's market, we want to look at where is that balance between inventory and the amount of activity that's happening. Well, inventory is down and activity is up. So that swings the balance even more in the favor of being a seller's market.
So now what all is in effect for inventory being up or down? I mean, is it more houses being built? Is it people moving out of town? What all is, decides that? And how can it fluctuate so much?
You know what I think it is this year is I think fewer people listed in like April when a lot of houses would be hitting the market. Fewer people were listing because of the uncertainty.
Sure.
So now, and there were a lot of buyers waiting in the wings. So those buyers are buying stuff, but it's like those listings never really went on the market. So this year, inventory's just been a little bit lower. Not a huge change in activity. We actually had a few months where activity was lower than it was last year. But yeah, my guess is sellers just deciding to sit on the sidelines, not sure what's going to happen.
Now, when you talk about uncertainty, does this have anything to do with the COVID? And
that's what I was referring to.
And there's so many uncertainties.
Yes.
I'm uncertain if I'm going to have a job, if I'm going to be able to afford to buy a house. Or if I sell this house to move to a different job, is that job still going to be there? There's like tons of these uncertainties. And that's kind of a bummer.
Yeah, it is. Like even like the military, a couple cases I ran into where the military put on a stop move, meaning they weren't transferring people. I don't know if it was specific to the areas that these people were coming and going from, or if it was across the board. I think at one point it was across the board. And we're kind of a military town, so that affects things. Honestly, it paid off for the sellers who did decide to go ahead and list.
Sure.
Since there were fewer people, listing their homes, less competition for those sellers that did go ahead and list, so they were able to, benefit from things. The other thing that's really helping us out is the low interest rates. Last time I checked, so I think this is from like the 17th, but it was at 2.875 on a 30-year fixed rate conventional.
Wow. Yeah. That's pretty low.
Very low. So that's kind of that benefits everybody. There's very few things, I think I've said this before, but very few things that benefit both buyers and sellers. Interest rates being low are one of them because it's going to bring more buyers to the marketplace, which increases demand, which helps prices appreciate, go up in the market. So it helps the buyers who are able to lock in that low interest rate for 30 years and get a lower payment than they would otherwise. And then it helps the sellers by driving more buyers into the market and increasing demand for their product that they're trying to sell.
Okay. Now, I have no idea about being a realtor, but I'm just going to throw these numbers out there and tell me if I'm wrong. So maybe somebody is in an apartment right now, and I know what the cost of rent is in some of these apartments. It's amazingly high. Say you're looking for a $200,000 home, a starter home, or maybe a little under, a little over. I would imagine the mortgage is going to be very similar or maybe even a little less than what they're paying for rent.
Yeah. Like, I guess I've got a little calculator. I can figure it out.
Okay.
If you give me a second. But yeah, it oftentimes will be much lower. I think we talked about one of the most important deciding factors between buying or renting is going to be how long you're going to stay in the place. Mm-hmm. The big positive of renting is you're more mobile. You're not tied down in one place. If you're going to buy, you want to make sure it's a long-term commitment.
Sure. And apartments are for some people.
Yes.
Some people can't mow. Some people can't shovel snow.
Yep.
But it's not for everybody. A lot of, especially young couples, might start living together in an apartment. But you know what? I would much rather raise a family in my own house. Than in a dwelling with how many other people.
Yeah. And rents go up over time. So if it's going to be a long-term place for you, it really is much better off to own because prices go up over time, rents go up over time. Mm-hmm. So if you spend 30 years in an apartment,
you're probably going to see rent go up at least 10 or 15 times, 10 times probably.
Yeah. Over 30 years, it's going to be really substantial and you don't have any equity to show for it. If you stay in a house for 30 years, you've made such a sound financial decision
to
do that because your payment, if you do a 30-year fixed rate conventional loan, your payment is going to stay the same for those 30 years. So you were asking about,
and it's an investment.
Yes.
You're going to get something out of it when it's all said and done.
Yes. So like, for example, on a $200,000 home, like you mentioned, if you put 3.5% down, if your interest rate were at 3%, just a little over what, the current rates are at, it's different on every person. Property taxes, if they were $2,000 a year, your homeowner's insurance were $1,000 a year, and you had mortgage insurance, since you didn't put 20% down, your total with everything would be like $1,221 a month.
Wow.
Yeah, and you get to own your own place for that.
Sure, and now you go get like a 3-bedroom apartment, some of these newer apartments, and you're paying that.
Easy.
Yeah, easy. Yeah. You wanted to say something?
Yeah, if you ever turn up my mic.
Well, I was going to wait because I didn't want you to interrupt John here.
Yeah. No, another thing, too, to take into consideration is if you're renting, and you have been there for a long time and you have your family established and everything in there, you have no ownership. They could go ahead and sell that place and then you got to move.
Mm-hmm.
They could.
Yeah, you have no say in anything.
Yep, exactly.
That's a good point. You've done good.
Yeah, sometimes I have. I have my moments.
You hope you get a good landlord who takes care of stuff and maintains it, but it seems like it's never going to be maintained the way that a homeowner is going to maintain their own house too.
And I mean, we've all probably lived in apartment houses. I know I have. And another thing is, you never know who's above you. You never know who's beside you. And, my luck, you get the square dancing young drunk couple above you, and they like to square dance after midnight, and it just boom, 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 and that's what you hear all night long.
And nothing you can do about it.
Nothing you can do about it.
Or they get a new Siberian Husky that they shouldn't have in an apartment.
Yeah, that's not good either. That's awfully specific.
Yeah. So not only are you complaining about the neighbors, but the neighbors are complaining about you, and it's kind of a vicious circle there. There you go. That's just another great reason, a great investment, and you got ownership. Right now, and I ask most of the realtors this because you see it all the time, especially on social media, somebody trying to sell their own house. They'll make their own sign, put it in the yard, and say, call me or whatever. But the more and more I talk with you guys, and you can tell us, why should someone list with a realtor like you, John, instead of trying to do all this by yourself?
Yeah, so that's a common question we run into, and it's complicated. So we'll get into that a little bit. There's some pretty common misconceptions that we run into. Mm-hmm. People think that when they sell their home for sale by owner, if they successfully sell it for sale by owner, they don't pay any commissions. Well, it's unlikely that if you list for sale by owner, it's actually going to sell while you're for sale by owner. The majority of people who try it for sale by owner, they try it for a little while. they end up, putting a lot of time and effort into it, and it doesn't work out for them. So then they list with a realtor, and and if they do that, then they've lost a little bit of that excitement that if they had the professional realtor handle the launch of their property, and because that's your most important time, that's when you get to make the biggest impression, the biggest splash on the market. You deaden that a little bit by launching it for sale by owner on your own, trying that. And if you make, one of the super common mistakes, any one of the common mistakes, you've kind of ruined that launch. You never get that back.
Right.
But a lot of times people think they're going to avoid paying commission entirely. That's not true. Like we talked about, the majority of qualified buyers already have their own real estate agent, right? And standard practice is for the seller to pay that commission.
Yep.
That's the way any house you see on the market right now, the seller has already agreed to pay the commission to whichever agent brings in a buyer, right? If you're a for sale by owner, chances are what you're going to get is you're going to get a lot of calls from realtors trying to solicit your listing. And then you might also get calls from realtors who say, hey, I have a buyer. Can I show it to my buyer? If my buyer buys it, you'll pay me, for example, a 3% commission. So that's pretty normal. If you do get it sold, chances are your chances of finding a buyer who is qualified, ready to go, and unrepresented by a realtor is super slim. It's really unlikely.
I mean,
personally, I would think of it almost like buying it's not quite the same, but buying a car. I would always be hesitant of buying a car from the owner as opposed to a dealership, just because you don't have that credibility. You don't know what kind of things they're hiding.
I mean, you got some of the owners, that have every piece of paper from every work done on the vehicle, and the same with the car. And I can get that, and especially if you know them. But what it boils down to is all of the legwork that you guys do, because finding lenders, showing all that kind of stuff. If somebody just goes sticks a for sale sign in their yard, somebody wants to come and look at this house and nobody answers, well, I'm at work. I can't leave work right now. But that's another thing that there's just so many things involved in why you should hire a good realtor.
Yep. So in addition, you're not saving an entire 6% commission. If you do successfully sell it, chances are you're saving a 3% commission. The risk that you take by by trying that is that you've ruined the launch, and even when you do list it with a realtor and get everything right, it's still not going to have the same impact that it would if you would have never tried it for sale by owner and let the realtor handle it from the get-go. Because when a product is new, that's when it has, that's when you have the most attention from the market. That's when you have the most buyer eyeballs, because tons and tons of buyers are sitting there. They're on drip emails from agents just waiting for the right house in their price range to come up.
Sure.
When an attractive, well-priced home hits the market, buyers swarm it and they all want to see it. And so if your home tried for sale by owner and wasn't successful, when it hits the market and goes out to all those qualified buyers through the agents, they're going to say, oh, I saw this one on Zillow already. Might not have that same impact.
And another thing too that realtors do is if somebody says, and they call you up and say, John, I want to sell my house. Come and tell me what you think. You guys are going to see some of the things that people don't think about. And they're going to say, okay, this is how much I'm going to ask for this house. And you guys, with your experience and your professionalism, you're going to say, well, you should probably take care of this. You should probably take care of that.
Yep.
Or you might not get what you're asking for.
Exactly.
There's a million things.
Yeah. You might screw it up so bad that you hardly get any showings. You might get some showings, but you don't get any offers. Either way, if you've spent, especially during the summer, if you've spent a couple months on the market and you didn't get any offers, if that happens, you're fighting a little bit of an uphill battle, because all the buyers say, oh, everybody's passed on this house. I wonder why.
And that's
not the impression.
Right, and that's another thing I have seen on social media where somebody has listed a house for sale on their own, and all it takes is that first person to go, I went and looked at it, not even worth it, and then pretty soon all the other people start chiming in, and pretty soon it looks like you're sitting with a lemon for a house that's never going to sell, when they probably should have just called you off the get-go.
Yeah, and think of what the experience is like for a qualified buyer who's house shopping. A qualified buyer who's house shopping, they know their realtor, they like and trust their realtor. The only people there are their realtor and them. So they meet at the house. They have complete access to the house without anybody breathing down their neck. They get to ask their realtor questions about the house. They feel super comfortable. They have it to themselves. The realtor knows exactly what to expect. They're going to, access the house via the MLS lockbox. It's the same experience every time. Those sellers of those properties that are on market obviously have their own realtor who's coached them on how to make their house show well, right? So it's going to be a nice experience in every home for a buyer to be able to see a house and see themselves potentially living in a house. The experience has to be well controlled and it has to be perfect. It has to be relaxing. For sell by owners, they don't really get that. They might think that, what realtors do is they put high pressure on people. So I'm going to put high pressure on these people and just sell the crap out of this house,
Pretty soon you get the backstory to everything in their house.
Exactly.
My wife got me this in 76 when we were dating on the...
Or you get one of those, that's just a bedroom. You don't want to look in that room.
Yeah, you get some of that. And so people are walking around, they're used to this experience where they walk through with their realtor and everything is really nice and quiet and relaxing, and they get to take their time and ask questions, and their realtor is, helping them out and giving them advice. Most realtors, when they're working with a buyer, aren't just, hard selling them on every single house, because then they just completely lose credibility. You have to be honest with them, giving valuable information about the neighborhood. So it's really, we're out here to pick the best house. With a for sale by owner, they're telling them, how great every little thing is, when the buyer might not be actually agreeing, but they're kind of having to agree because they're in an uncomfortable situation.
To get out of it,
And at this point, they're more in an uncomfortable situation where they're not even looking at the house that well. They're in this kind of uncomfortable social
trying to figure out how to get out of it.
This stranger who's maybe a little overbearing. I've seen that so many times, and it's not, no offense to the for sale by owners who do it, but it's just it's not a common, it's not something they do every day, so they don't know how to make the buyer comfortable.
There's one success story that I've ever heard when it comes to buying or selling on your own, and it was just a guy was thinking about possibly selling.
Yeah.
And another guy told another guy about it because he knew this guy was looking for a place like that. So he contacted him before he'd even put it on the market, and it ended up being a done deal. But that is very, very rare.
Yeah. And so you worry there in that situation. The house still has to appraise.
Yep.
And did he, the guy who said, hey, I'm thinking about selling my house, goes through a friend of a friend. If he doesn't know exactly what it's worth, it's possible he left some money on the table because that buyer pounced on that house.
Sure.
And maybe saw a little bit of a deal. If he would have talked to a realtor first and, got it ready to put on the market, that realtor might have told him, hey, you want $275 for this place, but, based on this house, and this house that sold in the past 6 months that were the same size as yours, same neighborhood, same style, I think you're really more in like that 290 range.
Sure. Okay. Because you could lose out.
You could lose out. If you don't expose it to enough buyers, like if you expose it to the entire market of buyers, you're going to get the full value for that house. As long as you don't make any huge mistakes with the staging or the photography or the listing, you're going to get full value for that house if everybody sees it. That's just the way that the market works.
Okay, kind of leads into my next question. Now, if somebody calls you up and said, John, I want you to come and look at my house. I want to sell this thing, and this is what I'm asking for. How often is it where you can walk in and it's basically perfect and, yeah, that's a great price. Let's go with it. Let's do something. Or how many times are they really just turnkey where they're ready to move in and move out? I mean, I know there's things that need to be done in some houses, like, you might want to get rid of this floor, or you might want to paint this wall, or does it happen a lot where they're perfect, ready to go on the market?
Yes. In the higher price ranges, yes, they're perfect. It doesn't mean that they're not going to need to do a little bit of staging work.
Yep.
And, little stuff that we'll recommend. We run into people who keep their house meticulously clean all the time.
Yep.
And, I'll tell them, hey, put out a bowl of fresh fruit on your island. Make sure you leave these lights on. Make sure you don't cook salmon the night before.
Yeah.
Make sure, all these little things that are kind of like common in the industry for us to know to do, even your top notch, meticulous homeowner we want to make sure they know those things as well. But yes, we do walk into homes where it's like nothing needs to be done. You just need to make sure it's clean and smells nice for showings, and that's it.
That actually brings up a question that could be just a segment for another show. But do you ever get people that are just looking for like a move-in ready house where it's like it's already got the beds, it's got the couch, the TV,
Basically turnkey.
You know, they're moving up here from Australia and they just want to get something and they want to be able to just live. They don't want to have to go shopping for everything.
It's actually really uncommon, but we have had it before. Like I've had a doctor who was moving here from out of state who was interested in just buying the house and buying all the furniture along with it. We ended up not doing it. She ended up buying her own furniture, but that happens sometimes where if the seller's willing to do a package deal, keep all the furniture.
Because if I sold my place, I'd be like, you can have all this crap.
Yeah. See, that would be the thing though, is a lot of that stuff you might not want to get rid of, and then that means you're going to move and you're going to have to buy all new stuff.
Yes. So sometimes the seller might, the price has to be right for the furniture as well. I've heard more success with people renting furnished properties. I know a guy who rents out a furnished condo. And gets good money for it because there's a specific niche that he rents to. Specific type of person that comes to the area, work-wise, and he's had good success with renting a furnished condo. But as for what you're asking, it's more common maybe for like a piece or two of furniture to be included in the deal rather than all of it.
They don't want my Cheerios in the cupboard?
Maybe not. Yeah, maybe not. You can take
and you talk about some of these houses being immaculately clean. Apparently they don't have 3 dogs and 3 cats running around in their house.
Yeah.
Any new developments out there now you want to talk about? Or
there's still the Thompson homes. They're a fantastic new construction, entry-level price point, really, really good. I mean, for there's a lot of people who are, in that price range under $300,000 and they still want to get into new construction. Thompson Homes is basically the only option for them, and you can still do a lot of customizing. The downsides with Thompson Homes are going to be narrower lots. You're going to have specials as with any new construction, but there are a lot of, especially a lot of young home buyers who would rather have a little bit smaller home but have it be brand new. And it's theirs and they customized it rather than, buying a larger, older home that's also in a nice neighborhood. These new developments are in fantastic parts of town.
They are. The only knock I have against a lot of the newer developments is, well, for one thing, the yards aren't that big, but lack of trees. Now, I know trees are a pain in the butt for some people. I live, I've got 5.5 acres, but it's all full-grown cottonwoods, oak trees. And I tell you what, every spring and every fall, it is a pain. It's a lot of work, but I love trees. And that's one thing nice about some of the older neighborhoods. Now, what are you finding, the newer families or the newer homeowners, what do they prefer?
It's really personal preference, but you do see a lot of the young families who like the feel of those brand new neighborhoods. It's something maybe they want to set their roots down. And, you see a lot of neighborhoods where people have lived there since that neighborhood,
since it's developed.
Those could be the people who stay in that neighborhood for, 20, 30 years
and
raise their family there.
Another thing too with the newer developments and the newer younger families moving in, a lot of them are just starting their families. And that is a big thing when it comes to somebody looking for a house that wants to raise a family. What the neighborhood's like is their kids in the neighborhood for your kids to play with. So it'll be like a neighborhood when we grew up,
Yeah, that's exactly. I think that's the other thing about those new neighborhoods is, I've got quite a few friends who live in one of those specific developments who have, they're starting to have kids and, so their kids get to hang out and live in the same neighborhood. My neighborhood is, I'm probably the youngest person on the block by, I don't know, 15 years or something.
Okay.
I mean, aside from a couple people that I know, but, in general, the demographic of my neighborhood's a little bit older, and so I think some people who are starting families do like that, having kids around, other young kids for their kids to play with for sure.
Well, you also, with some of the older developments too, though, I mean, if you have a nice house that you put a lot of money into and all of a sudden you see all the houses around you start to deteriorate and then, you're going to be overvalued for the houses that are surrounding you now.
Yeah.
Was talking with a guy here. What's the name of the area where you grew up again? Down in
Riverside.
Riverside.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely loved their place, But then again, some of those houses, the ones that have been there for a long time, they're not that big.
Yeah.
And his family is expanding. I think he's 3 or 4 kids now. So now they moved way to the south end because they just need the room. Hated to give up the place. Yeah. But, that's just part of life. If you're going to keep having kids, you're going to need more room. You're going to need more space.
Yeah. Those are a couple, like the Riverside neighborhood and like the Reeves Drive neighborhood. Mm-hmm. Those are like one of a kind areas. You know? Tons of character. You don't really there's maybe a couple other places that are close, but you really don't see that type of character and that type of cool neighborhood feel anywhere else in town. You can't replicate that with a brand new development.
I miss Riverside. I loved growing up there.
Yeah. And you don't have to answer this question, John, but are there certain parts of the area that are harder to sell a house than others?
Yeah, there are. There are certain neighborhoods where, like, you could name it, a certain area, and I might say, yeah, your ceiling, if you were to, even fix your place up, the highest anything really sells over here is about 145. It's a neighborhood, of all starter homes.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that's just the way it is. Doesn't mean there's not a market for those places. And for somebody like we said, who's that's their budget, they want their monthly payment to be around that range, and they're going to be in their place for 5 or more years. It still makes sense for that person
still better than renting
to buy that place.
Mm-hmm.
If that's what they want to do. But yeah, there are certain neighborhoods that just have a lower sale price for various reasons.
Another topic that you could have on a different show, and I don't know if you guys even deal with it, but people that are in that lower income and even maybe want to get into like a trailer home. Do you guys deal with that kind of stuff too?
I personally don't very much. I haven't done a trailer sale probably in a few years. There's agents that at our office that do it more often. It's usually the times when we're going to be handling a trailer sale is when the person is getting out of the mobile home and moving into a stick-built, home of their own.
Let's face it, there are some nice trailer houses or manufactured homes or whatever you want to call them now. And there's some that are in nice areas and there's some that aren't.
Yeah, to think about it, I don't even know if they're called trailer homes anymore. I think you're right. They're probably called
a mobile home
or manufactured home.
There you go, manufactured home. Yeah. Now with the interest rates where they are, John, are there a lot of homes available for sale right now or to buy in Grand Forks or the surrounding area here?
Yeah, there's plenty of options. Like 259 active listings right now in Grand Forks. And 31 are active contingent with a home inspection contingency. So that means likely the majority of those will be going pending within the next 2 weeks. So really around 230 active listings when you take away those active contingent ones.
Yep.
But so it's low inventory, but you still have plenty of good options. I've got buyers I'm working with right now who I've got tons of options that fit their criteria that I'm able to send them.
Okay, now if somebody's looking Grand Forks, East Grand Forks, Manville, Thompson, surrounding area, can you help all of these people out? I don't know how the licensing works, if you're just licensed in one state, 5 states, or whatever.
Yeah, I'm licensed in both North Dakota and Minnesota, and all of our agents at Berkshire Hathaway are, I believe.
Okay.
And so, you've got some agents who work other areas a lot more. I really specialize in Grand Forks and East Grand Forks. If it's a referral, who's somebody who's referred to me through, a friend or, a family or something like that, I'll kind of do like the about 20 minute surrounding area. That's my territory.
All right. So. Anything we missed out on here?
No, it was great questions you had. We didn't even cover. There's a lot more we can get into about the for sale by owner thing. So if you're a for sale by owner right now and you're thinking about selling, getting it on the market and listing it, that's something, there's more information I can give you. So if you reach out to me, I'd be happy to have that conversation. Or if you're thinking about getting your home on the market and want to have that conversation, I can definitely give you some more information.
Now, you're one of those guys too that I'm guessing you are like on call. I'm sure your phone could ring 24/7. And I would imagine you get back to your people immediately because that's a huge step in life, buying or selling a house.
Yeah, yep. That's something, my phone's on me all the time. All my clients have my cell phone number. I'm always a call or a text message away.
I do apologize because I forgot to update our banner from the last show, so I had Ben's number on there.
Oh, okay.
So just so everybody knows, it's John.
You're welcome, Ben.
And why don't you, if you want, give your phone number and how we can reach you.
Yeah, my phone number is 701-213-5428. You can call or text me.
You seem like a pretty good guy. I'd want you for my realtor. I can tell you that. And also, I wanted to get this in there quick. Another one of your Berkshire Hathaway coworkers, Rhonda, come and get your hat.
Yeah, Rhonda, you heard him.
She wanted a hat so bad, she won one, and now she won't come and get it. So there you go, Rhonda.
Yeah.
I'm going to sell it.
Yeah. They're going to get rid of it if you don't come get it.
Yeah. Well, there's people that want that one too, by the way. So we're looking forward to having you in here again.
Yeah.
You're a breeze to talk to. I can tell you that. And again, you heard the phone number. And again, if you missed it, just watch the show. You can watch it whenever you want. But our weekly Berkshire Hathaway podcast, John Brodeen, always great talking to you. And good luck with everything going out there. And I'm sure we'll be talking to you again before your wedding coming up.
Yes, you will be. It's not so bad talking to you guys either.
Oh, no, it's kind of a piece of cake, right?
Yeah.
Hey, all right, thanks again. Weekly Berkshire Hathaway podcast. If you're looking to buy or sell a house, I tell you what, get a hold of John Brodeen here or any of the great realtors at Berkshire Hathaway. And we're going to cut John loose now. I know he's got things to do. And coming up here in just a couple of minutes on Grand Forks Best Source, what do we got? Let's see. Oh, yeah, Ben's coming in from Stable Days Youth Ranch. Couple of minutes away. Make sure you like, share, and tag us. We're Grand Forks Best Source, giving Grand Forks an identity again.